from Bukoto.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kenneth, and you're most welcome. So all the guests, you're most welcome. And thank you so much for being with us today. Allow me hand over this session to our Toastmaster of the day, all the way from Rafiki Toastmasters, Karen Olege will be taking us through this session. We'd like to thank you, Karen, for choosing to be with us today. I know part of our team members are with you in the course of the week, and what a way to pay back the kind gesture by being our Toastmaster of the day. So all Toastmasters, Rotarians, and guests on the call, please join with me to warmly welcome Karen, our Toastmaster of the day. Take us on from here. Karen, over to you. Please, a big hand clap from everybody.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moses Rutahigwa. And thank you, Kampala Sunrise Toastmasters, for having me this morning. Indeed, I am more than delighted to serve as the Toastmaster of the day here at Kampala Sunrise Club. My name is Karen Olege, joining you from Rafiki Toastmasters Club, all the way from Nairobi City in Kenya. Receive greetings from that very vibrant club and from its very sprightly president, Miss Emily Manjeru, who had joined us before 8, but she just left to catch on her travel. So I'm very delighted to be here, fellow Toastmasters, and I believe we'll have a good time. Today's meeting is divided into 3 sessions. The first session we are going to have is the education moment, which will be followed by an induction of the new members. The second one is the prepared speech session, where we will have 5 speakers giving us their speeches that they have prepared. And then we will have the evaluation or the feedback session, where we shall do the round robin evaluations. I know this is not a new concept to you, Kampala Sunrise Toastmasters. So please note that each evaluator will be expected to evaluate their speeches right at the end of the speech. And then we will also welcome other Toastmasters and guests to also have an opportunity to unmute and give some feedback to the relevant speaker. So I call upon your participation in the round robin session so that our colleagues can get to grow their public speaking using the feedback that you will give them. So please be generous with feedback, give our speakers feedback, let them know where they did well or they did not do well so that they can continue to improve their public speaking skills. Before I introduce the theme of the day, I would like to introduce to you our role takers of the day. So Mr. Joshua Aruho, our timer, please come on and introduce yourself. Mr. Joshua.
Thank you so much. My name is Joshua, and I'm the timer for the day. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm glad to take it on.
Thank you so much, Joshua Aruho, who will be our timer. The accountant and grammarian, Agnes Katushabe, please come on and introduce yourself.
Good morning, Toastmasters and guests. It's my duty today as your grammarian to listen attentively to every word that is spoken during the meeting. Take note of how we are using the English language, and at the end of the meeting, share a report with you of how well we've used it and areas to improve. The purpose of this is for us to get better, because when we communicate effectively using the English language, we speak better to our audience. It's also my duty to introduce the word of the day. And our word of the day is exuberant. I will display it shortly so you can see it. All right. Exuberant, and from the online Cambridge Dictionary, that is what it says. It's especially of people and their behavior, very energetic and showing happiness of being alive. Some examples include: his exuberance is contagious. Beatrice and Fred remained exuberant as their dad told them a story. She is an exuberant dancer. So you can use the word of the day throughout the meeting and even after the meeting. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much, our accountant and grammarian, Agnes Katushabe. The word of the day is exuberant. So throughout the meeting, please feel free to use this word. Ladies and gentlemen, since the beginning of time, people have made sense of the world by telling stories. Stories that shape experience, stories that give meaning, explain and record events, develop culture, and most importantly, develop attitudes. Traditionally, stories about Africa have revolved around social and political clashes in society, and the overriding theme is the struggle to survive in Africa. The ordinary person has to struggle against poverty, against exploitation, against corrupt governments, racism and sexism, scarcity, among others, in order to survive. But one man, Mr. Eskia Mfalele, he's a South African man. He sums up this theme in one thing, one statement that he says, man must survive. This is a book. I don't know how many of you have read Man Must Survive by Eskia Mfalele. Man must survive in Africa, of course, I agree. An African man must survive. And to add to that, not just to survive, but to thrive. How do we ensure that we thrive? Is by adopting a positive mindset about the environment that we live in, its shortcomings notwithstanding. Today, we want to resist the temptation of, I wish I was born somewhere different. I wish I was born elsewhere. I wish I was born in Europe. We want to resist that temptation. We shall live and thrive in the reality of Africa, embrace it and anticipate our success here in our motherland. Remember, the firmer your grip is on reality, the more power you have to deal with it. This is a phrase I took from a book called The 50th Law, written by 50 Cent and Robert Greene. Today in our meeting, we focus on the story of Africa, the reality of Africa, the encounters of Africa. At this point, I like to ask, what is Africa's reality? What do you think is Africa's story? Africa's story is one that speaks of opportunities, an abundance of resources, a myriad of talents and capabilities, undoubting intelligence, bountiful entertainment, richness in culture, and a plethora of role models of people made in Africa that have made it to the world over. This is what should shape our reality. And all these all together are the encounters of Africa. So walk with me in this journey today as we sample the evidences of these facts that will shape or reshape our reality of the place called Africa, our motherland. As we ponder on these few remarks, I would like to invite Joy Talemwa. I have seen Joy Talemwa in the meeting to take us through an education session or a tip session, and thereafter a new member's induction. Welcome, Joy Talemwa. Take us through that session. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Karen, for that introduction, exuberant introduction. I would like to request to be given co-host rights just to be able to share my screen. But good morning, Sunrise. It's a pleasure to be here and to be leading this session. Unfortunately, I still can't share.
Karen, you're the host, I can see. Please give Joy and Joshua co-host. Aruho Joshua.
Okay, so this tip session is titled the Member Interest Survey Session. This is a form that Toastmasters every year need to fill out just to set their goals, to ensure that by the end of the year, you have achieved or attained that which you set out to do. And I would just like to hear from some new members or existing members. How did you feel when you joined Toastmasters? How did you feel? What was the feeling you had when you joined Toastmasters? if I could ask Juliet Oyela. Is Juliet on the call?
Yes, Joy, I am. Okay. When I joined Toastmasters, it was at a time when I needed to, and I can't say I have been disappointed. It's been a great journey of growth and increase my communication skills and leadership skills. I must tell you that I actually got a promotion during that period, and I cannot deny that my interest in improvement in communication skills contributed to it. And so I'm looking forward to more years as a Toastmaster. This year has been a bit busy, I've been on and off, but I'm definitely hanging in there. I'll be back, as Arnold Schwarzenegger once said.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you to Oyela. And just to a follow-up question, congratulations on the accomplishments and the achievements. And it's good to reflect and see how far you've come and the benefits. I just have a follow-up question for you. What do you hope to achieve this year, if you have thought about it?
As a Toastmaster, currently I'm on level 2. And I finished level 2, I'm supposed to be starting level 3. And I hope to be able to finish my level 3. If it's a whole year, like 12 months, then I'm hoping to finish my pathway.
Okay, all right. So her plan is to finish her path. And I know with your commitment, exuberance, you will achieve your goal. I just have one more person, and preferably a new member. I would like them to share what their goal is as well for this year. I would like any new member, please unmute and share with us your goal in just 30 seconds. Anybody? Shafiq, would you like to give it a go? You're muted, Davis.
Yes, I can offer.
All right, please go ahead.
I'm a new member, but not very new. And this year, I set a target of reading 25 books. And so far, I've only read 11. So the year is coming to an end and I have a huge mountain of books to read. One trick that I have of achieving that is to read small books.
Okay. Thank you, Davis, for sharing. And this session is around starting to think about the goals you have for Toastmasters. So if it's around increasing your knowledge, maybe like Davis is sharing, then he's saying that he's going to read small books. For Juliet, her goal is to finish her path. She's at level 3, so she has about 3 more levels to go to finish her path. So how do we chart a plan for you, Juliet, so that by August 2022, we're celebrating with you for finishing or for accomplishing your goal? I have posted a link to this member interest survey form. And the heart of this form is really for you to fill your goals, but secondly, for us to understand what are your interests. If Davis likes reading, or if he's interested in novels and books and thought leadership, could we host somebody in the club who's a thought leader to inspire Davis to keep coming back to Sunrise? So those are also some of the things that help us make our club experience better. And I see Agnes has her hand raised.
I think the link takes us to the induction ceremony. You might want to.
Right. Okay, let me do the, thank you for that. Let This should be the correct, yeah, should be correct now. Yes, so it helps the VPE, it helps Alex to know how to make the club experience better for you. And most importantly, there's so much to Toastmasters beyond the club meetings. And if we're able to know what your interests are, if you want to work with young children or youth and participate in youth leadership programs, if you want to become the district director of District 114, we are able to help you achieve your goals. Alex is laughing, but there could be somebody here that wants to be the district director or perhaps the division director. And I don't think I have any more time left, but I encourage that you fill out this form, set your goals and share them with your VPE, Alex, and he'll be sure to ensure that he supports you throughout the year and the whole club executive to achieve your goals. I also now have the pleasure of moving into my second role, which is to induct the newest members on the block at Kampala Sunrise. And I would request all of you to turn on your videos as I lead you through the induction. I would request Daphne to put on her video. Edith, no, Dovina Akidi, Diogratias, Shafik Lutaya, Madonna Vicky Aineumbabazi, Joshua Mukisa, Henry Solomon Sentongo, and have I left anybody out? VPE, is that it? Okay, thank you so much. Welcome, Toastmasters. You are joining a worldwide organization that has helped over 4 million people learn how to communicate more effectively. As members of the most exuberant club of Kampala Sunrise Toastmasters, you will benefit from a proven program of self-development, and you will also be a part of an outstanding group of people who are dedicated to helping one another in the spirit of sharing and enjoyment. Alex, the Vice President of Education, has given you an opportunity to discuss your needs and goals for this year. Is that true, new members? At this point, you can say yes or no. Yes. Has Alex given you an opportunity to share your interests and goals? Yes or no? I only had one person say yes.
Yes.
Okay. Have you been told how the Toastmasters program works and informed of all the benefits you will receive and the obligations of your membership?
Yes.
Okay, I only had one yes.
Yes.
No. No.
Okay, so there's a no, and that's okay. Anybody else? Okay. I also believe you have been assigned mentors. Have you been assigned mentors?
Yes.
No.
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent. Your videos will be on. Instead of standing, your videos will be on. In the presence, membership in this club and in Toastmasters International is a privilege for you to benefit and have various rewards. So I will collectively induct all of you in the presence of your fellow club members, Daphne, Edith, Dovina, Gratias, Shafiq Lutaya, Joshua Ariho, Madonna Vicky Ainombabazi, Joshua Mukisa, Henry Solomon Sentongo. You make this firm obligation to attend club meetings regularly and prepare for each of your assignments, to apply yourself to the projects outlined in the Toastmasters education program, to participate actively in club activities, to evaluate others in a positive, constructive manner, to build open, friendly relationships with your fellow Toastmaster members, and to bring other new members into the club so they too can also gain the benefits of Toastmasters. New members, do you agree to do this?
Yes.
All right, yes. Excellent. I have posted a phrase in the chat which I would request all of you to resign as a symbolic representation that you accept. All right. So we, the members, let's go. We, the members, it's in the Zoom chat. Unfortunately, okay, we, the members, it's in the Zoom chat, my dear. It's a Zoom chat message.
It's a link, it's a PDF link, probably need time to open it.
It's a message.
I see a link. Oh yeah, there's a message.
Unfortunately, I still didn't have any co-hosts, so I had to improvise. So we, the members
of Sunrise
Toastmasters
Club pledge to support you in your quest for self-development, to provide you positive, helpful evaluation, to maintain a friendly, supportive atmosphere, to give you opportunities to help others, and make your Toastmasters membership a rewarding and fulfilling experience.
It's with great pleasure that I induct the following members to the club: Daphne, Edith, Dovina, Diogratias, Shafiq, Lutaya, Joshua Aruho, Madonna Vicky, Joshua Mukisa, and Henry Solomon Sentongo to Kampala Sunrise Toastmasters. Congratulations for joining the Toastmaster family. Over to you, Toastmaster of the morning.
Wow, wow, wow. Let's give a round of applause for all those new members that have just been inducted. Thank you for making the good decision. Join Toastmasters Club. You're going to have such a good time and such a good learning experience while at Toastmasters. So now I will share my screen to just show you something that I promised. I promised to be sharing with you some evidences or some interesting facts about the reality of our motherland, Africa. And here it comes. Here it comes. I am showing you this picture. I don't know if there is anyone who knows what this is. It is gonna be a tough one. Is there anyone who knows what this picture is? Now, this is the picture of the oldest university in the world. The oldest university in the world. Does anyone know where this country, this university is, which country it is in, or which university it is? Anyone?
Egypt.
Egypt, well, that's a good try.
Timbuktu.
Timbuktu, wow. I see, yes, please try. So this university is actually called the University of Kariwin. The University of Kairouan is in the country of Morocco in a city called Fez. It was founded in the year 859 AD, originally as a madrasa. And the next university after this was actually formed, I think, more than a century later in Europe, in the country of Italy. So before you travel out of Africa for advanced education, Toastmasters, remind yourself that Africa is home to the world's oldest university. And many, many more have been founded since then. So look no further than Africa, the motherland of education. The next picture right there is the picture of a man. Anyone knows his name? Anyone? Going once? Going twice? Going thrice? Yes, I can see a hand raised up by Peter. Peter, unmute and tell us who this person is. Yes, Peter.
It looks like Mansa Musa.
Ah, Mansa Musa. Yes, you are right. This is Mansa Musa, or Musa the First of Mali.
Mansa Musa.
Yes, this is Mansa Musa. Very good. Toastmasters in Kampala Sunrise, they actually know about Africa. So Mansa Musa is actually considered one of the richest men in the history of the world. Can you imagine, since the world began, Mr. Mansa Musa has been identified as one of the richest men in history. This man is actually an African from the country of Mali. He was an emperor of the Mali Empire, one of the prosperous Sahelian kingdoms. By the time of his death in the year 1937, his net worth was estimated in the range of 300 to 400 billion US dollars in adjusted dollars for the late 2000s. Can you imagine? So before you think that you must travel beyond Africa for you to make personal wealth and for you to be successful in your investments, remember these facts and embrace your environment and anticipate your success here in Africa, the motherland of wealth. I know some of these things you would imagine that it's out there when people who are wealthy, you know, people who are very well endowed in education, you would think it's outside of Africa. This is your reality. Your motherland is rich with opportunities. So before you look out there, please explore the opportunities that Africa has give. At this very juncture, I would like to introduce our speeches of the day. And just as I introduce the speeches, I would like to remind you that we shall be doing the round robin evaluations. So the evaluators, I call out on you to be keen and prepared to evaluate immediately after every speech. And for the rest of us, let us be ready to also give evaluations to the speeches where I will be welcoming you at the end of every speech. So our first speaker of the day is Mr. Joshua Williams Mukisa. I would like to call on the evaluator, Judith Nabankema, to introduce the speech and the speaker us. Over to you, Judith.
Alright, I think we don't have Joshua call yet. We could proceed the next speaker.
Okay. So we will go to the second speaker of the day, is Mr. Deogratius Ochao. I would like to call on the evaluator, Annie Suma, introduce the speech and the speaker to us. Over to you, Annie.
Hello, am I audible? Can you hear me? Okay, Toastmaster Ochao Deogratius is a substantial speaker, entrepreneur, and acclaimed motion graphic designer who has devoted his labors of maturity to the enhancement of civilization. He will deliver his speech from Pathway Presentation Mastery Level 1, Project Number 3, Researching and Presenting. Time 5 to 7 minutes, with the title, Her Story, Her Glory. Toastmaster Ochao Her story, her glory, her story, her glory. Toastmaster Ochao, the screen is yours. Toastmaster Ochao.
Growing up in a typical Ugandan school, we were always told to cut off our hair. This is not an idea that was born yesterday. It dates back not just to the colonial days, but to the slavery days when Europeans first came to the coast of West Africa. At first, they were in awe and admired the complexity of African hair, but then something had to be done to rid Africans of not only their identity, but also dehumanize them in order to rationalize slavery. But the question still lingers. Why were we always told to cut off our hair in school? According to a report done by Nachisanze Segawa for the Global Press Journal in 2016, she interviewed Mercy Mutunjirehi, the Director of Studies of Amiti Secondary School, located in Nansana, Wakiso District, Central Uganda, East Africa, and the broader continent of Africa. And the Director of Studies said this practice dates back to the early 1900s when missionaries ran schools. So they trained students to be interpreters, office messengers, and clerks. So they needed these people to be smart, referring to a neat and tidy appearance. So by encouraging these people to actually, the students, to cut off their hair, they're encouraging uniformity and smartness, a thing that was unachievable because of the complexities of natural African hair. That is according to the missionaries. Margaret Mugema, the middle school dean at Makerere College School, estimates that 90% of the schools in Kampala have policies that require Black girls to cut off their hair short. And yet other ethnicities are encouraged to grow theirs. But to understand why these policies were put in place, you need to understand the differences between African hair and Caucasian hair. There are majorly 3 hair categories, but for purposes of this presentation, I've narrowed them down to 2. According to the hair classification done by expert cosmetologist Genevieve Lusan, who is a part of the research and innovation team at L'Oreal, a multi-billion-dollar cosmetic company headquartered in Clichy, France. In their report titled, investigative report titled, Diversity in Human Hair Growth, Diameter, Color, and Shape, in pages 144 to 151, these are the differences they noted. Caucasian hair is generally straight and wavy. African hair is generally coiled and is filled with curls. Caucasian hair is generally varies from dark brown to blonde. African hair is generally black with the exception of Melanesians. Caucasian hair grows at a fast rate of about 1.2 centimeters per month. African hair grows at a slow rate of 0.9 centimeters per month. Caucasian hair grows downwards and falls back. African hair grows upwards, and is tightly coiled. So based from this scientific data, what the missionaries got wrong was assuming that African hair was supposed to grow the way Caucasian hair grows, and if it didn't, it was supposed to be cut. And the challenge with this rest-based short hair policy is the psychological devastating effects it has had in the long term on Ugandans. Telling a child to always cut off their hair sends a subliminal subconscious message that a part of them doesn't look good and should always be gotten rid of. This is the subliminal message that has been sent to Ugandans over generations. And that is why, as we grew up, I noticed most of the time, most of the ladies either plaited their hair, covered them with wigs, partly because they weren't proud of their natural hair. And these policies have been nothing short of harmful on students' perception of Black hair. It has eroded on their self-esteem. And while it's true that African hair can be quite hard to manage, in 1455, when Alvise Cadamosto, a Venetian explorer and slave trader, made his first trip to West Africa, in his journal, as reproduced by Robert Kerr in the book, History of Voyages and Travel, page 191, this is exactly what he said about Africans, West Africans in particular. They tie their hair, though short, into nice and neat tresses. Cadamosto's comments were positive, partially because transatlantic slave trade didn't exist and there was no imperative to dehumanize Africans in order to rationalize slavery. So our predecessors actually had this figured out long before the age of hair products. There are more ways African hair can be styled than there are stars in the sky. without using chemicals that are not only detrimental to your hair, but also to your scalp. As Ugandans, the last thing we need to continue doing is to adhere to Eurocentric beauty standards simply because we are unique and we are different and it is okay. And the thing with hair is that hair is just not hair. Hair is pride, hair is a crown, and it is deeply woven into the fabric of our history. African hair is not something that we should always get rid of. We should embrace it. It is not something that should be tamed. It should be adventurous. It is not something that should always be cut off. We should embrace it. And it is not as dirty as and untidy as we're told. It's unique and beautiful, and we should wear it with pride. African hair is grows and spreads like a peacock. The peacock spreads its train wide, and when it does, everything else steps aside, and then it walks ahead with pride. And that is how we should follow the tide. And while it is very versatile, African hair was never meant to be straightened. It is not supposed to look like Caucasian hair. Unlike Caucasian hair that grows downwards and falls back, African hair grows tall, is supposed to grow tall and look lush like the very fantastic forests of the Congo at the heart of the African continent. Telling a child to always cut off the hair because it doesn't look good and that they should never embrace it is akin to undermining God, Allah, the universe, or whatever you believe is the supreme being that governs this reality. For what comes from black hair is black gold, a soulful presence, and confidence in how the Creator fashioned the human form. It is but a magnificent manifestation of the Creator's beauty. African hair graciously glows from within rather than relying on the sun, because it's like every beam of the sun weaved itself into a strand of African hair. And like a lost wandering queen who wasn't raised and born in the palace, it is a crown that we haven't grown to own, partly because of the unknown, or the fact that someone has actually been trying to put us down, and now we look upon our very own hair and frown, almost stigmatized to the point of a taboo. And I guarantee, especially for the ladies, if you wear your hair, your natural crown, the angels of the heavens might as well draw aside those curtains of the heaven and admire and awe, for the queen has finally found out what she is and what she's worth. And as I conclude, the major disparity between African hair and Caucasian hair, as indicated by expert cosmetologists, which is morphological, that is the form, the way it coils and curls by Genevieve Lussan, is what causes African hair to have unique needs. And what that means, it is not supposed to be treated the way Caucasian hair is treated. It is not supposed to be treated with the same products Caucasian hair is treated with, and it is not supposed to look the same, while it is still versatile. Based on that solid scientific evidence aforementioned, your hair is different and it is okay. So embrace it. Embrace that big, bold, beautiful black hair. And yes, African hair can be quite hard to manage. Yes, it breaks and breaks quite often, 100%. It takes time to prepare. It's true. But remember, with great beauty comes great responsibility. Over to you, TMOD.
Let's just give a round of applause to Mr. Ochao Diogratius Apuli. I love that speech. Thank you so much for that exuberant hair story, hair glory. And coming from a man talking about hair, you can imagine I have just become your biggest fan. So I would like to invite the evaluator of Diogratius. Please come on board, Annie Suma. Evaluate Diogratius' speech.
Thank you, Madam Toastmasters. Congratulations, Toastmaster Ochao. What a wonderful speech. It's amazing. Congratulations, you have delivered your speech. Excuse me. I have a distraction here. Can someone please? Okay, thank you. You have delivered your project level 1, project number 2 presentation, research and presenting from the Pathways Presentation Mastery. What I like from your speech is there are 3 things. You have good opening. I like the opening. You give us a clue that you will talk about hair. And second, you have very good speech structure. You have the opening, you have body, and your conclusion. And also, the conclusion, I also like it because you delivered it really well. You give pause and you emphasize that with, excuse me, let me check what. With the great beauty comes great responsibility. I really like that. And also, when you deliver your speech, you look very calm. You have a really good eye contact. You keep looking at the camera, which is very difficult during an online meeting like this, because people tend to look to the screen like this and not to the camera. But you look to the camera and it engages you and the audience. The audience feels the connection with you. Also, you have good body language. You stand and you can see your body part from here to the above, not only from the neck to the head, but you can see from your chest to your head. And also, when you deliver your gesture, you don't move too much. You use your gesture, your hand, you play your hand. It's really nice. And to bring your speech to the next level, I humbly suggest you, if possible, since this speech is about research and presenting, and you achieve the purpose of the speech, that you have to do a research, and you also put the source of your research in this speech, which is very good. The problem for me is I'm a visual person, and I would humbly suggest you, if possible, to use the PowerPoint presentations to give a better understanding for a visual person, for a visual person like me. And I also was told that you tend to speak fast. Yes, you tend to speak fast. You speak quite fast during your presentation, but I can still hear you. You speak clear. You use pause, and all in all, I conclude that you deliver your speech successfully. For the structure of the speech, calmness, gestures, vocal variety, clarity, eye contact, all are good. And also the conclusion are good. And my suggestion would be only, please, if possible, using the PowerPoint presentations and practice more so you won't go over time from the 7 minutes 30 seconds. Thank you. That's all from me. Back to the Toastmaster of the meeting.
Thank you, Annie, for that evaluation. I would like to welcome Judith to give her evaluation.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. Dear gracious, thank you so much for your delivery. It was a wonderful delivery about hair. It's amazing how a man talks about hair like that. Otherwise, I loved it. Just like your evaluator gave her evaluation, I concur with her, but also when it comes to volume, your volume is really, really good. There's no problem with hearing, could hear you very, very vividly. But the areas of improvement that you may want, the areas that you may want to improve are the following. Your pace is very, 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 very fast. With your pace, when you're very fast, don't give us time to digest some of the statements that you're making, yet they are very, very important statements. For example, you made a statement and said that there are more ways the African hair can be taken to the sky. I thought at that moment you'd have slowed down, and I just visualized my hair going to the sky. You know, it could just give more value to that statement. Just imagine that. There are more ways African hair can be taken to the sky. Oh my God, that'd be so beautiful. Then you said it spreads like a peacock. Just imagine yourself slowing down a little bit. It spreads like a peacock. You're giving us time to connect your statement to the peacock. It will give more value to that statement. I also would like to encourage you to add vocal variety to your speech. I think if you add vocal variety to your speech, wow, it's gonna be great. Otherwise, I felt like it was all the same all through. Otherwise, the speech was very, very great. Just like the evaluator said, I don't want to forget this. Your body language, you could not see it because part of your body was really hidden down there. So we could not relate what you're doing with your words, yet body language and the words are really, really very important. They add more meaning to the delivery that you're making. Yeah. So I would like to encourage you to ensure that next time you ensure that we can see your body language. I know we don't have a stage right now freely like before in a physical meeting, but you can do our best with what we have. Otherwise, if you embody your vocal variety with that wonderful speech and all the speeches that are going to come on board, I know you're going to fly, my dear. Otherwise, well done. That was a wonderful delivery. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Judith. I would like to invite Madonna to also give her evaluation of the same speech.
Thank you, Karen. Dear Gracious, that was a very riveting speech. I found that your topic, oh my goodness, okay, sorry about that. I found that your topic was really interesting. As a natural hair enthusiast, I was engaged in this speech. Maybe a point of growth would be lowering your speech pace. I feel like you were making such valid major points in there that we needed to savor a bit more if you are maybe not so fast, but overall, very great speech. Thank you, Your Gracious.
Thank you so much. We will go. I see Davis. His hand is up. Davis, please come on board.
Thank you, TMOD. I'd like to thank De Gracias for such a good speech. I couldn't help but notice that he used several nice and poetic language where he turned the speech from the normal prose into verse, and that was very good. It's a good instrument of speech when you go poetic at some point, and it kept us hanging on for the next line. Thank you. Back to you, TMOD.
Thank you so much, Davis. So we will move on to our next speech. If you haven't evaluated, you have another speech to evaluate, so please be keen. Our next speaker of the day is our president, Toastmaster Moses Rutahigwa. I would like to call on the evaluator, Emmanuel Barria, to introduce the speech and the speaker to us.
Good morning, Toastmasters and guests. I am going to be evaluating our president, Moses Rutahigwa. Moses is going to be, his speech title is, It Takes a Village to Raise a Child. It takes a village to raise a child. He's doing pathway, which is the presentation mastery, level 2, project 3. Moses, I will be looking out for 3 major areas, and that is engagement with the audience, using relatable story, a message that you will be giving to the audience. That would be the major 3 areas I'll be looking at. Of course, I will also look out for your eye contact, the vocal variety, body language, our usual areas that we evaluate. So it takes a village to raise a child. Moses Rutahigwa, it takes a village to raise a child.
August is a very special month. If you're here on the call and you are born in the month of August, simply type in the chat, yes, we want to know you and celebrate you. We want to wish you a happy birthday from all of us here at Toastmasters. Happy birthday, Teddy. Congratulations on finishing it on the 14th of the month of August. However, not all of us manifested into this world in the month of August, but we share one common relationship with the month of August because of number 8, which means new beginnings. Personally, my highest career moments have always occurred in the month of August, though I'm not born in August. Such was August 2010, when I was just 7 months into my new organization, had been posted upcountry and received an invitation to attend an event in Kampala that I wasn't believing I could have been invited. I was elated to have been considered and began my journey to the city the next day. On the D-Day, the setting was exquisite and everyone who was at the event could not believe what was there. It was a great setup, well arranged, and the mood was so ecstatic that everyone at the day enjoyed what was happening. Being a newbie, I took time to engage the people on the event, to introduce myself, but oftentimes retreating to the corner when I could not follow the conversation. It had been arranged, the event had been arranged to celebrate the people who had performed well in half one. And when the moment came, they successively rose to the stage in pompous style and a lot of glamour to receive their accolades. It was an exuberant moment. I cheered them on and I told myself, even me, one day I will be there. The final award of the evening was the Leadership Award, which the boss personally reads the citation and hands over the award. He rose to the stage, gave a few remarks on what the person had achieved, and began to engage the audience on who the winner was. We shouted all kinds of names from this and that until he allowed the room settle down for 30 minutes and tranquil and announced the winner, me. The silence in the room became louder. Personally, I was in shock and took a moment to recollect myself, wondering, what did I hear? I thought in the beginning it was a mistake, and he mentioned the name again. I walked to the stage and picked this and began looking at it, still held in shock, and everyone wondering, who is this? I don't know how I reached home that night, nor did I sleep, because I kept on looking at it every single moment. Toastmasters, Rotarians, and guests, I'm reminded of the words of a Greek philosopher called Plutarch, which says, the mind is not a vessel that needs filling, but wood that needs igniting. So who ignites the inside passion within us? Who helps us to achieve what we achieve? Do we do it ourselves, or we need the help of someone else? Back to my story with the boss. He had been to my station 2 times in the previous 6 months before the award. And the first time, a conversation. The next time was a difficult discussion that we had. He challenged me, settle down, be in control, and urgently show why I had been hired into this new organization. I first took it in bad faith, but then reflected on what he was trying to teach me. Went back, shared with him what I was doing well and where I was struggling and what support I required. He provided it and offered me a chance to always learn from him when I have a moment. He would later on go to become my mentor 2 years later, and until today, we have a great personal relationship. Toastmasters recognizes the importance of mentoring and has put at the bedrock of what we do every single day. Within us, there are experienced people with whom we learn from their experience and also to tap onto their knowledge and expertise to make us better people. They support us on our journey and able to make us great individuals, navigate the different items in Toastmasters and make us champions whenever time comes. My mentor in Toastmasters is one such individual, exemplary, amazing character, and one who cherishes his personal success. Always willing to connect when I come in for support, but most importantly, never stops to ensure that I am supported whenever I need support. His own pursuit for excellence is one great example for me. I must say, Paul Kavuma is one river that I need to keep drinking more and more and more from. Toastmasters, returnees and guests, if you're here and you have somebody, you have a mentor, please today begin that journey. If you're in Toastmasters, we have a mentor to support you, enable you, navigate the Toastmasters journey, and support you until you achieve your goal. Do not stop at that. Also get personal mentors in your personal life, in your spiritual life, in your career, and any other aspects of life. Valuing mentorship will take you from one level to another. It takes a village to raise a child. Over to you, Tia Modi.
Wow, thank you very much, Mr. Moses Rutahigwa, for that speech. That was such a riveting presentation. It takes a village to raise a child. So I would like to call on your evaluator at this moment, Mr. Emmanuel Barria, evaluate that speech.
Thank you very much, Moses. That was a great speech, though my system dropped and I missed the last part of your speech. Thank you for bringing me back to the room. It takes a village to raise a child. I love your topic. It takes a village to raise a child. It is a common saying that we've all grown up hearing. Thank you, Moses. I noted that you've used the word of the day very well. Thank you so much for that. I do not know how much time you used, but the timer will let me know about the time that you've used. This was probably the best speech that I have listened to or watched this year. And I would like to say thank you. I've not seen you look like this in other speeches you've been making. And I was very impressed. See you very close to the camera, very energetic. I don't know what you've taken today, Moses. That was really amazing. You've used the word of the day that we usually forget about that. And I had you talk about the exuberant moment. Well done, Moses Rutahigwa. That is amazing. I also noted some words like puntash. Puntash, that is really a new word. Whoever is going to speak next week, give us puntash as our word of the day, puntash, which moves around igniting passion. I noticed that in your speech, you could have engaged the audience more. And I do not know the rest of the part. I'm sure that people who heard the last part of the speech, you will help us tell us how Moses was able to relate the story with the topic. I did not get it very well there, but I dropped out. So you will forgive me for not capturing that part, how you related your topic or the title with your story. The message to the audience, I'm sure it was very, very, very good. It was on point. Your eye contact was perfect. Your vocal variety was up there. Your body language was amazing. You used the time well. Well done, Moses. I can see a great speaker in you. I can see a very powerful person that is coming in this society. Well done. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel Barria. Any other Toastmaster who would like to evaluate Mr. Moses' speech? Any other evaluator? The floor is open. Mr. Alex Agaba, please evaluate Moses' speech.
Thank you, Karen, for this opportunity. And thank you, Moses, for blessing our morning with such a, if I can borrow one of your words, exuberant speech. Is that a word of the day? I just had you use it. I think it's the word of the day, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, well done, Moses. I enjoyed your speech. Like your evaluator said, there's so much improvement. I think you're ready for the speech contest. Please register for the international speech contest because this speech was contest material. I like how you engaged the audience at the beginning when you said, put your name in the chat if your birthday is this month, and you're able to read out the chat. It shows you are kind of confident, comfortable. When I'm a speaker, sometimes I don't have the energy to go in the chat and read it. Yeah, you are prepared clearly. You are very clear. You are articulate. We had every word you said. I saw growth in your use of gestures. You kind of owned the stage, and there was power in your presentation. I think you kind of had some fist bumps in your presentation. Well done. I'm going to be very picky because I'm looking for something to improve on your speech, and I really didn't see one. So I'm going to be very picky with this improvement. When your boss announced the leadership award, and you're surprised when you said that, and the winner was me. I thought that you had built it very well. You built your suspense quite well, but I thought that you could be better on the punchline. I could have done it in a different way. Maybe if you had raised our expectations, and when you said it was me, I thought if you had done something like maybe, and it's Moses Rutahigwa or yours truly, I don't know, just saying me didn't hit it very well. Yeah, it's just it's me being very picky because I have to get something for improvement. Otherwise, well done. We look forward to your next speeches.
Thank you so much, Mr. Alex Agaba, for that evaluation. Any other evaluator who would like to go? Going once, going twice, going thrice. Okay, we will move on to the next speech. And Mr. Joshua Mukisa Williams is our next speaker of the day. I would like to call on the evaluator, Judith Nabankema, introduce the speech and the speaker to us.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. Joshua Mukisa is doing her presentation mastery, level 4, project 2, public relations strategy. The title of speech is fundraising. Fundraising, Joshua Mukisa. Joshua Mukisa, fundraising.
We now find ourselves behind in our growth goals for the ticket as Kampala Sunrise Toastmasters Club. We are caught between a rock and a hard place, but fear no more. I am here to provide a solution. As the Vice President membership, I have decided that we all need to contribute financially and pay for 5 new members to join our club for the next year to guarantee growth and membership. As a leader and vision bearer, I have decided to offer myself name and title as the first beneficiary of this fundraising drive. Not only will you achieve the first milestone of our goal, your act and contribution shall have a ripple effect that will spread like a wildfire, with me at the helm of it, to ensure the success of our project. I am establishing a membership committee, and I would like volunteers from among you to be a part of it. Members of this exclusive club shall contribute 10,000 shillings to highlight their commitment and will to the growth of our club. Due to my generosity and honesty, I'll receive this money and protect it with a humble spirit. I can assure you that in a few months of your contribution, we not only shall have an increased membership, but the membership governing council shall be liquidated enough to engage in various PR strategies to increase the visibility of our club, heightening the odds of our success. So, ladies and gentlemen, your financial contribution of any amount can be sent to my mobile money account, 0704 888 094. I repeat, 0704 888 094. For safekeeping, of course. If any of you has any question regarding the transparency and nature of our process, those concerns shall be dealt with on a first come, first serve basis. After I receive your financial contribution, this is to ensure that we progress, we fast track the goals of growing our club. And I hope that we are clear on this particular point. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, while you're out there engaging in various activities, doing this and that, think about the importance of guaranteeing the growth of our club. And I would like to thank you for being great listeners and committing yourselves to the growth of Kampala Sunrise Toastmasters Club. Thank you so much. I wish you the best of your time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Joshua William Mukisa, on that very invigorating speech on fundraising. I would like to welcome the evaluator, that is Judith Nabakema, to evaluate that speech.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. Joshua, well done, well done, well done. For that, for the speech you delivered with a lot of exuberancy. That was amazing. I loved the way you started it off. With a lot of exuberancy, did you deliver the speech? Your speech was well organized. It had a title. It had a body. It had a conclusion. And your conclusion called us to action by telling us that we should always think about the club. That was very, very amazing. I loved the way you dressed. You're so, so smart. You always dress well when you're delivering your speeches. Your camera status was great. Your light was great. Thank you very much for that. Joshua, I loved it. When you told us that, just a moment. When you told us that there will be a ripple effect, there was a body language that related with your statement, a ripple effect. Actually, in all your statements, your body language was in line with your statements. That is very, very amazing because we help us as the audience to understand and connect your words with the speech that you're giving. Because I had less to look out for in terms of positivity because I have indeed grown on my side. I have mostly areas of improvement. Otherwise, the rest you've done so well. The vocal variety was great. What can I say when it comes to that area? I'm so grateful for what you've done. The improvement is amazing. But areas of improvement that I can talk about are these. As you delivered your speech, you made some pauses. Pauses are very good for us to digest what you're talking about. But a moment came when the pauses are just so long. Like you said that to join our club for the next year, to join our club for the next year. I think I would have loved when you brought it out, like to join our club for the next year. You see, you've slowed down, there's a little pause, but you're able to connect, okay? That is very, 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 very necessary. Otherwise, what can I say? I also loved it as I conclude. When you said you are found by saying, this is the account now. This is my mobile number. This is my mobile number. Send the money on this account. That reaffirmation is very important. You're telling her that this is a very key point, which indeed is a key point because you're talking about fundraising. So you want us not to miss out on anything. Joshua, thank you so much for this delivery. Considering other speeches I've evaluated, I am grateful. There's a very, very great improvement. And if only you can improve on your pauses, really, the pauses, yes, they're good, but don't make them so long. Otherwise, well done. Toastmaster.
Okay, Judith, any other evaluator for that speech? Moses? Yes, Moses, please evaluate that speech.
You can hear me?
Yes, a little bit, you're breaking. Just try again. Mr. Moses? While we wait for Moses to get on board, I will just read Andrea Carla Isaac's evaluation of the same speech, saying such an exuberant presentation, Toastmaster Mukisa Joshua. And I might add, you look very daring and I love your professionalism. Notwithstanding the other presenters, you two did an excellent job. Okay, I think Moses is not able to give his evaluation now. He says, Alex, go ahead.
Sure, go ahead. Hopefully Moses can come up. Not yet, Moses, not yet. Maybe later will be better. Let me just go ahead. I just have a few. Today I'm being a little bit picky with the speakers because the speakers are good enough. So I'm just looking for something small I can improve on. Your delivery, Joshua. I will not go through what everyone has said before. Yeah, you always dress for the part and your speeches are quite timely. What I think you can improve on your speech today, as you get to level 4 or level 5, these speeches are projects versus the previous speeches of 1 to 3. A project speech might require more preparation in the sense that when you came and told us that you want to form a committee, the expectation is that you already have a committee in place and you're probably coming to give us a report or to give us a plan of your committee. And then when you would have looked more organized if you had, it's a fundraising cause, you're looking for money, you have some structures in place. Probably you could have a small flyer indicating your cause and be more visual with this, because I'm sure most of us have forgotten the phone number you read out, or most of us struggle digesting what you're selling us. If you had a visual in terms of a flyer, today you can make simple flyers using simple tools like Canva and show us a visual expectation of a member who wants to join, and maybe a visual outcome of a member who has become a Toastmaster, empowered, and it would sell your cause more if you do it visually this time. Otherwise, really, I think you're doing well with your speeches, and the speech came from the heart. You clearly, as a VPM, as a vice president membership, the membership drive is something that speaks a lot to you. So I felt like this speech really came from the heart. I like the twist where you volunteered yourself as a beneficiary. It's really a very heartfelt speech. Thank you, Joshua. Looking forward to more speeches from you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Alex Agaba. Thank you, Joshua. Robert Kanuna says, I like this presentation and I'm inspired to join the Toastmasters Club the soonest. All speeches so far, nice and smart. And also, well done, Joshua. Good setting. Speech objective was met. Body language spot on. Excellent job, Toastmaster. It's a very moving presentation with matching body language and with a great call to action. Well done to you, and indeed, other speakers. I've enjoyed my visit. Wow. So we move on to the next speaker of the day, and that is Carla Andrea Isaacs. I would like to call on the evaluator, Latisha Ramanayake, to introduce the speech and the speaker to us. Welcome, Latisha.
Okay, thank you so very much, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. And it has been my privilege and honor to introduce our next speaker. That is, I don't know whether I am going to pronounce her name correctly, Andrea Carla Isaac. And she's going to embark on a project, embark on a project leading in your volunteer organization, and the speech title is Arousing the Leader Within. And I know she will do her best in her speech today. I would like to wish her all the very best. May all the good luck in the world come to you, my dear friend Andrea Carla, and good luck. Thank you. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Andrea Carla, please proceed.
Before I speak, may I have screen privilege, please? It says host disabled participant. I've been asking for that for the longest while and still disabled. If not, I'll go right into my presentation in the interest of time.
I think you got it now,
Carla. And guests.
Carla, you got it now.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Alex. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, good morning. My name is Carla Andrea Isaacs, and I am from the Corporate Republic of Guyana. Here's a quote that resonates with me by Jim Rohn. It says, if your action inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, then you are a leader. Are leaders born or made? Leaders are born and made. For example, this question has been asked on several occasions. I repeat, are leaders born or are leaders made? But of course, leaders are born and then they are made. Now, over the past months, I have had the privilege of working with an experienced team. And as a youth educator, I was asked to lead a team of several individuals. And during my tenure as leader for this team, I was really elated to be in this area. I'm having some technical difficulties. I'll disable the PowerPoint because it was going to take up my time. And after I was able to lead this team for 6 months, there are several things that I would have taken away from this. Now, as a leader, we all face challenges. And sometimes it's difficult for us to really relate to situations or to circumstances that we might face. Nonetheless, as a leader, it's not about I, it's a team. Together, each other achieve more. And whenever we are faced with leading a team, we need to understand as leaders, we are mentoring others along the way. It's like arousing the interest of that person. Now, as a mango tree does not bear fruit for itself, it bears fruits for the entire nation. It does not just attract people, but it brings the entire nation to the mango tree. And that is what arousing a leader is all about. Sometimes it's difficult for us to live up to other people's expectations because we try to manipulate, we try to be unhappy because we are living in that person's skeleton or that person's shadow. But I want to encourage you to make sure that your vision and your dream that you're pursuing has the identity and the DNA of your creator, which is God, and not just the seal approval of anyone. It is wise to ensure that you check your source of your dreams, of your leadership before you can ever think about leading a team. Additionally, I'm speaking to most persons who are struggling with leadership. And sometimes, Toastmaster Alex, when you are given the chance to lead a team, we are excited. But remember, teamwork makes the dream work. And oftentimes we become so laid back or so selfish that we want to set the stage to be the cream of the crop. And sometimes it affects our ability to lead. What I found during my tenure as the leader of the Youth Educators Group, Toastmaster Moses, is that they were a bunch of exuberant leaders. They were willing to sacrifice so much, and they were willing to come on board and to help me, to give me advice. Even when I did my 360 evaluation, the feedback coming back from the team is that one of the things stood out is that I learned to take correction. For example, there was a misunderstanding between a staff and myself, and we were trying to resolve the issue where the person was late and they did not call or say anything. And as a leader, what I did is that I went straight ahead and started the meeting. Now, the person didn't call to say, Toastmaster Carl, I'm going to be late, or Miss Ice, I'm going to be late. What the person did, Karen, is that they did not show up for the presentation. And this, I believe, as a leader, I had to step in and say, well, this is where we err. And the person did respond by saying, yes, I'm sorry. And with that, it caused us to build a better bond instead of me lashing out and saying, you had no right to stay away from the program, you should have called. You know, sometimes as leaders, we get full with ourselves, right? That we have to take into consideration, Toastmaster Roger, the person's feelings. If you are arousing that leader within, you have to ensure that you are in the right environment. Kampala Sunrise is an excellent environment where Toastmasters and leaders are arousing. And you can be able to mentor persons along that way. Now, the signature of that is a truly great value versus those persons who are successful leaders. What they do is that they have a catastrophic idea that I can do this on my own. But coming together with each other makes a difference. Now, there's a scripture in the Bible that says, where there is no vision, the people perish. It is impossible for you to have an insight or a foresight of a project, but not being able to execute it because it's all about me, I, Toastmaster David. It's all about I. In summation, I would encourage us that failure is not much a physical state, as a state of mind. Success is failing down and getting up one more time without the end. Be willing to embrace challenges along the way while arousing leaders and being mentors in your club. Toastmaster of the meeting.
Thank you so much for that very good speech. That is Carla Andrea Isaacs. I would like to invite your evaluator, Latisha Ramanayake, for the evaluation. Also encourage the rest of us to type in the chat section should we want to also evaluate Carla. Over to you, Latisha.
Okay, thank you so very much, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. Today, I think I was very lucky very fortunate enough to evaluate my dear friend, Carla's speech due to these reasons. Dear Carla, you are an elite speaker and a masterful speaker, very difficult to give a critic, all done so well. When I embark on your speech, you started with an inspirational quotation by John Quincy Adams. If your actions inspire others, yes, to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you are a leader. What a wonderful beginning. What a dramatic, catchy beginning to grab the attention of the audience. You are an attention getter. Then what I did like was the tone, pace, and vocal variety was spot on. Positive. It was a positive, uplifting speech. The reason is you always want to tell the audience a leader is selfless and always had the catastrophic idea according to you. I can do it. And also you mentioned failure is a state of mind. What all those things are the authentic pieces of information. In addition to all, you did not forget to mention that you discussed with other great leaders and incorporated their valuable ideas into your leadership role. And you had done 360-degree evaluation. All these authentic pieces of information again won the credibility of the Zoom audience. And a positive message delivered. And furthermore, your positive message delivered was delivered in a really lovely cadence of perfect English that I really love to hear. And you took control of the room really well with your great confidence, invigorating speech, and expressive hand gestures and non-threatening eye contact were other beautiful features which I was in love with. Then any speech on this earth has some suggestions to put into next level. I would like to suggest you to stand and deliver your speech. Then what happens is we would be able to see the body language better. And to challenge yourself next time, and please use a prop in your hand. Now, the PowerPoint presentation was the 40 of your whole speech. But in addition to that, if you can use a realia in your hand, that would make a strong point in your speech. So to sum up, it was a wonderful speech. I was in love with your speech. I did love that speech. All the best. May God bless you. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Letitia. Any other evaluators for that speech? Anyone else to evaluate Andrea Kala's speech? Going once. Our guests, you're also allowed to actually evaluate the speeches that you're listening to. So do not be afraid, please feel free. We'll move on to the next speech, which is our final speech of the day. And our last speaker is Mr. Alex Agaba. I would like to call on the evaluator, Davis Haguma, to introduce the speech and the speaker to us.
Hello, Master of the Day. Sorry, are we having some interruptions? Charity? Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day. Our next speaker is Alex Agaba, and the title of his speech is There Will Be Conflict. He's on the pathway of persuasive influence, doing level 3, project 1, which is titled Understanding Conflict. Alex Agaba is going to talk to us about conflict, and I'll look forward to seeing situations or moments when he dealt with or resolved conflict, or what he got to know about conflict resolution. There will be conflict, Alex Agaba. Alex Agaba, there will be conflict. The floor is yours.
Alex, you are on mute. Kindly unmute your microphone.
Thank you. Good morning, class. Or should I say Toastmasters and guests? Today you're in class because you're in my class and I'm your tutor. We shall call this class of 2021. Kampala Sunrise class of 2021. Because you're students, I'm going to ask you a few questions. Screen sharing. Don't fear these questions, they are simple. And because I can't view my chat, please answer the questions. Unmute and answer after I ask them. Question 1. Which of the following is something you can control? A, feeling disappointed. B, disagreeing with your parents. C, yelling at your best friend. D, a difficult classmate. Class, what's your answer?
Sir, I would say a difficult classmate.
Any other answer?
Yelling at.
Okay, any other answer?
B, yelling at your best friend.
Yelling at your best friend. That is C, right? I have different answers. Any other answer that's conclusive?
Disagreeing with your parents.
Let's check it out. Wow, that's wrong, class. That's wrong. Any other trials?
Yes.
A.
A. A.
Wrong.
B.
D or C?
D.
Still wrong. I guess the answer is C. You can control yelling at your friends. You might control any other. Question number 2. These are questions on conflict resolution. When you're feeling angry at someone, it helps to empathize with them and consider their feelings. What does empathize mean? A, understand. B, talk. C, disagree. D, smile. What's your answer, class?
A. Understand.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. I'm proud of you, class. This is the last one. Let's get it right. Albert wants to play basketball, but John wants to play a video game. They agree to spend an hour shooting hoops and an hour playing video game. How did they resolve their disagreement? A, they compromised. B, they decided to do things on their own. C, Albert gave in. D, John gave in. What's your answer, class?
I disagree with all.
Any other?
A.
A, they compromised.
Yay. Class, you got 2 out of 3. I'm proud of you. Class 21. So you know, class 2020 got 3 out of 3. No pressure. And that ends my screen sharing. Let's talk about conflict. And because you got 2 out of 3, you passed a pass mark. I'm going to reward you. And guess my reward? I'm going to tell you a story. Some time back when I just began working at my first workplace, the workplace wasn't very busy. On my first day, we were actually discussing how to change the office decor. One of my colleagues, Innocent, said, let's buy a new carpet. Let's paint the wall. Let's buy a new coat of paint. Barbara responded. We don't have much of a budget. Let's just buy a few pillows and a few plants and get done with it. I responded. Kenny looking on was our manager. If you're in a manager situation, what would you have done? There was conflicting ideas on how to just change the decor in the office. Well, Toastmasters has 4 steps on how to handle conflict with your team. Step number 1, if you're the manager, what would you have done? The first step is for you to listen. Listen to the different ideas of the conflict, the conflicting ideas. Step number 2, as a manager, ask questions. Step number 3, ask deeper questions. These deep questions will probe more concern or deeper concern. And finally, as a manager, engage the different parties in a collaborative problem-solving process. Let the solution come from the members, the conflicting members. As a manager, avoid taking sides and also avoid coming up with a solution by yourself. You want members to have a total buy-in of your solution. There you have it. That's how you manage conflict as a leader. Quick question, and you don't have to answer this one. Is all conflict bad? Is there any good in any conflict? Apple, Samsung. Apple and Samsung came out some time back to start or innovate a new smartphone. Remember those days when the only phone was a button phone? The days when the smartest phone wasn't a touch screen? So Apple and Samsung were in a race to create the first smartphone. But these companies could not agree on how to create a phone. They had different conflicting ideas on how a phone should look like. Fast forward, today we have the iPhone and the Samsung phone. Very beautiful phones. Through conflict, these two companies invested so much in research and development to come up with two intriguing good phones. Conflict birthed the iPhone and the Samsung. Let's talk about Adidas and Nike. So much money is being pumped into sports today because these are two conflicting sportswear companies. How about Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola? The list goes on and on. Toastmasters and guests. Not all conflict is bad. There will be conflict. Embrace it and look for the positive side of it. Let conflict be your source for innovation, your source for growth. Back to you, Toastmaster Karen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alex Agaba, for that impeccable speech. I would like to invite your evaluator, Mr. Davis Haguma, evaluate the speech. Davis, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day. Alex, that was an excellent speech. I liked from the word go, the fact that you were standing and free to walk around even in the limited space of a screen. I also liked the fact that you were dressed smart for the occasion, not to Joshua's standards, but still good, because our dress code can affect our judgment of your speech, whether we like it or not. So you got yourself points from the word go. We were engaged. You helped keep us engaged by asking us those questions. You engaged us in a quiz. Alex, you also used a mental framework of calling us your students, and we were in a classroom, which helped our imagination to get into the best mode to absorb what you are telling us. You also did well to tell a story that helped to drive home your point, which was that resolving conflict would involve listening, asking questions, asking deeper questions, and then engaging the different warring parties. For me, that was a good take home, even if you had made a horrible speech, just the content was really good, but that wasn't the case. The speech delivery was also good. We had good vocal variety. We had good intonation from you, good vocabulary. You mentioned things like buy-in. Maybe our grammarian will help us, but I got the sense that this is someone in command of his language. You gave us good comparisons, also another tool that we can use to help us see your point. Apple versus Samsung, Pepsi versus Coca-Cola, Adidas versus Nike. Alex, from your speech, I would think that you can work on raising your pitch a little more when asking a question. For example, you posed the question to us, remember those days when Apple and Samsung were the main smartphone manufacturers? So it gives us that anticipation of an answer, or it will tell us that you expect an answer from us. But otherwise, I thank you for a good speech. You are comfortable enough that you even asked us a question and you instructed us not to type it out, but to say it. So you are not overwhelmed by the stage. And that's very good. Keep it up. Thank you very much. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Davis, for that evaluation. Anyone else who would like to evaluate Alex, please unmute and do so. Anyone else, please unmute and do so. Going once, twice, 3 times. I see Moses has said, thank you, Alex. Good audience engagement, simplicity in delivery, and a good ending. Irene also says that you're a great teacher, great engagement. And Madonna says, very engaging introduction, use of story to make your points, impressive presentation, Alex. So well done, Alex. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our speeches. And I would just like once more to share a picture of Africa's reality. Where is that? Does anyone know where this picture is from? Anyone? You can unmute and shout the answer.
Karen, could it be in Egypt?
Egypt,
I'm guessing
trial.
it's Egypt.
Good trial. Anyone else?
Asia.
Asia? Anywhere? Sorry?
Namibia.
Namibia. This is actually Namibia. This
Wow.
is where the Namib Desert touches the Atlantic Ocean. Can you imagine? The desert just ends where the ocean begins. Very impeccable scenery. And we have also another scenery like that in Morocco. In the whole world, we only have 2 instances where a desert is touching the sea, and both of those instances are in Africa. So before traveling to Dubai for the famous Dubai desert trip, why don't you consider going to Namibia and seeing this nature and scenery for yourself? This over here, what knows what this is and where this could be? Anyone going once? Davis, you're really staring, you're thinking.
Cape Town? That's bungee jumping. Where?
Yes, bungee jumping in Cape Town. You are both correct. This is the highest, the biggest bungee jump in the world at the Blukans Bridge in South Africa. It is just about 216 meters, which is 709 feet above the river. Can you imagine? So if you're that kind of person who loves some fun-filled, scream-filled adrenaline, please don't rush to the Philippines. Maybe consider going to Cape Town. You will have a moment to enjoy Africa's reality. And ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of Encounters from Africa. At this very juncture, I would like to invite our accountant and grammarian and our timer to give the report. So Mr. Joshua Ruho, our timer, kindly come on board and give us your report.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day. I would like to give thanks to everyone who was able to take roles and everybody who was able to participate today. And I'm glad that I had the opportunity to take on this role. I'll just quickly run through how the time was used. Overall speaking, generally, all the speakers used the time well. They stayed within the confines of the 5 to 7 minutes. Just a few variations between the different speakers. The first speaker was Mr. Chow, and I recorded the time used as a total of 6 minutes and 58 seconds. The next speaker was Mr. Rutahigwa Moses, and he used the total duration of 6 minutes and 52 seconds. Then Mr. Mukisa Joshua, who used a total of 5 minutes and 59 seconds. And Andrea Carla Isaacs used a total of 7 minutes and 7 seconds. And our final speaker of the day was Mr. Agaba Alex, who used a total of 7 minutes and 12 seconds. Thank you so much, the speakers of the day. I appreciate your presentations, and thank you for managing time well. Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the day. Back to you.
Thank you. Grammarian, please come on board with your report.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. Today I was in grammar heaven listening to some of the speakers. Today I'll start with Toastmaster of the day. You used very interesting words, powerful words like plethora, riveting, myriad, impeccable. Then we had Deogracius, who used a lot of words, a lot of good words in his speech, as well as figures of speech and many more. He used words like countless ways of styling hair, than there are stars in the sky, deeply woven into the fabric of history. There was poetic language in there, and the list goes on. Moses used words like elated, exquisite, and then Alex also used some like buying, as one of us mentioned. Kala used words like elated as well, lashing out. Joshua used ripple effect, spread like a wildfire. Were there ways we could have used the English language better? Certainly. And one of the most common ones was using what I would call, for lack of a better way to say it, excess words on words that are already strong enough. For example, one of the speakers said, so ecstatic. Ecstatic is a word that is strong enough in itself without having to add the word so. You just need to say ecstatic, and if you want to give it more effect, you could use a pause. In the same league, there were words like very amazing, really elated, very impeccable. And I did a quick check on Google, and even though it is good grammar, but to make it better, you can do without adding a word to it. A speaker said they had talked of evidences. Instead of evidences, the right word is evidence. Overall, we used the English language very well. Then there was word of the day usage. Many of us used it. We had Toastmaster of the day using it twice. Joy, in the education moment, used it twice. Moses once, Judith twice. Alex used it. Carla used it. And even in chat, there was Carla and Shafiq using it. We had some pause fillers. For those of us that are not familiar with pause fillers, these are words that instead of pausing, we use them, words like are, we use like and, repeated words. We had Judith speak using are 4 times, Madonna 3 times, Emmanuel over 4 times, Davis 4 times. Alex used and the when he was giving an evaluation at some point. And so the good thing with pause fillers, the more we speak, the better we get. So over to you, Toastmaster of the day, as we improve in our use of the English language.
Thank you so very much for those two reports at this point, and with so much gladness and fulfillment, I hand over the meeting back to the President, Toastmaster Moses Rutahigwa, for the remainder of the program. Let's give a warm welcome to the President as he takes the stage.
Wow. Thank you so much, Karen, for leading us through this meeting. Members, can we give Karen a big round of applause wherever we are? You engaged us in the session. You were such an energetic TMOD, and all of us have learned a lot about Africa. And I believe from here, we shall carry on and keep planning, possibly tap into your mind and know what more can we learn from you. And looking forward to you hosting us once again at Rafiki Toastmasters. Send our love and greetings. Thank you so much, all the speakers, all the role takers, and the audience for being able to be such an engaging team. We've had a great meeting and I'd like to appreciate you. I just have two announcements to make. One is on our speech contests, which will be coming up shortly in October. So begin preparing yourselves for the speech contests. We'll be having a presentation to prepare you for the speech contests, but I look forward to an engaging time as we all compete to make Kampala Sunrise shine. Secondly, our renewals are up. So for those who are not here when the SAA was beginning the meeting, we'll be leaving the banner available on the screen. You can be able to send your contribution to Irene, our secretary, our treasurer, and be able to receive your confirmation of payment. And let's do this before the end of September as part of our achieving our DCP goals. Otherwise, thank you all for joining us. If you're a guest, please leave your contacts in the chat. We want to be in touch with you. I have seen one person saying Agnes will conduct the orientation. I think Christine also has left her contacts, and we believe all of us will be in touch with you and share with you how to join Toastmasters and be part of such a vibrant family. I'd like to thank you. It's 5 minutes past our time. I'll end the meeting officially and allow us to have some time to chat and say hello to each other before we close the meeting. Thank you and have a great and lovely weekend.
Well done, Karen.
Well done. We have some people like Deborah was with us. Deborah, thank you for joining us. Irene Kambonesa, seasoned Toastmasters. Good to see you joining us. Thank you so much for coming.
Was lovely as always.
Hi, Deborah.
Hi, how are you doing?
I
was enjoying
on the call. You are so quiet, Deborah.
Yeah, it was good. It was good to listen in. Okay, bye.
Thanks.
Well done, Karen. This is Karen's first time as the Toastmaster of the day. You won't believe it. And she's doing it in a different club, in a different country. How bold.
And well.
Thank you, Alex, for actually taking the risk. I felt like I was over-convincing you. I was telling you, yes, I want to do it. And I could see you were asking, have you been Toastmaster before? But thank you for risking it with me.
I mean, that's what Toastmasters is all about. Toastmasters is not a place for perfection. It's a place for growth. And I like that you took it up and see what you did. You were so graceful, you are knowledgeable, you shared so much, and you controlled. I think you did so well. Well done.
It was good.
Thank you, Carla. Thank you, Latisha. Latisha, you made it.
I'm here still. Great meeting, guys. Excellent presentation. It's 3 a.m. at my end. Thank you, Alex, for waking me up. Actually, I was asleep. Then I heard the phone ringing. So thank you for prepping me so I can be here this morning to do the presentation. It's always a pleasure to be at Kampala. I might consider being a...
Or you're muted. All right, let's hear from our guests. Robert Sevunya, you've been here since 8 a.m. Kindly unmute and tell us how you found out about our meeting and what's your feedback on our meeting. Robert?
All right, I'm sorry that I'm not going to share my screen, but I'm excited to be here. I've learned so much. First of all, I didn't know that I didn't know so much. But after coming here, I feel that I'm back to the nursery school of learning the basics. Yes, I'm a Rotarian. I recently joined the Rotary Club of Kampala South. So a Rotarian friend referred me to Linda, who is a former colleague of mine at Airtel, that referred me to you. But I've always wanted to join Toastmasters for like 6-7 years. But every single year, I never fulfilled a New Year resolution. So I'm excited to be here, and I can't wait for next month so I can attempt to join if you guys will allow me to join your company.
This is your
company
time.
In the sense of your beautiful family that you have already here.
This is your time, Robert. So yeah, you're welcome to join us, and September is our month for renewals and new members. This is your time. Any other guests on the call? Christine Ogola?
Hello, hi everyone. My name is Christine Ogola. I'm from Kenya, and I'm really excited to have attended this session. I got information about this session on Karen's timeline. She shared on her status the Zoom link, and I just decided to join. And I'm actually very glad that I've joined it. I've learned a lot from the presentations and from the evaluations. Personally, I struggle with public speaking, and this is something that I would really, really like to develop going forward. And I would like to join Toastmasters. So I'm excited. I've shared my contact. I'm excited to know a way forward on how to go about it, how to begin. And I'm hoping that you will walk this journey with me. So thank you so much for having me today. And I'm so happy to have met you all.
Thank you, Christy. We'd love to have you at Kampala Sunrise, and it's possible because we're on Zoom for the most foreseeable future. So yeah, you'd make a very good team member at Kampala Sunrise. Any other guests? Mercy, Chamia? How about Robert Kanuma?
Oh, thank you so much. I honestly enjoyed everything, every bit, every minute, and I can't wait to join very, very, very soon. Like you said, in September. I wasn't invited, but someone posted on their status on the timeline. I got the login details from there, the president, and it has been fun. I've learned a lot. It was really exuberant, and I can't wait to join you in this family. It's really a nice one. So every speaker was talking to me directly, most of them. So thank you so much for putting this together.
Wow, Robert, I guess you found your place. Please share your contact with any of us. I don't know if our SAA is still here, but you can share the contact with any of us. Moses, me, will guide you on how to join Kampala Sunrise. How about Shekina? Shekina, are you there? Do you have any other guests? I see Teddy M. Teddy, please unmute and tell us about yourself.
I've been to Sunrise Sheraton. That was my first time. I think 2019. I think so. It was before COVID. And so I've been like really lazy to connect online. But today I was very inspired. I woke up so early. I looked at the time. It was really fair 8, not 7, not 6. So I have learned a lot. I'm a communications person, but I'm always learning. Yeah, thank you so much. It was really nice. I learned a lot.
Wow, good to see you.
And happy belated birthday wishes.
Yeah.
Oh, bring in the gifts. Kidding.
Yes, good to see you. Since Sheraton, wow. So are you convinced now that online works, or you're still waiting for us to go back to Sheraton?
I think both ways have advantages. I don't like moving so much, but it's really nice to meet people in person.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if we can make it hybrid in the future.
Yeah, well, that's the plan, but we'll see how that goes. Thank you. Well done, team. Okay. Well done. Meeting number 58. Is it 58? Well done. Well
so
done.
See you next Saturday.
See you next Saturday. Same time, same link, same place. Teddy, we are still online next Saturday. Same link. Yeah. Hope to see you.
Okay.
Well done, Joshua, on your first role.
Meanwhile, while the team is still here, I wanted to ask a question.
Yeah.
This is sort of a private one. There is a book I'm looking for. I don't know if anyone can access it. I have a copy, but unfortunately, the person who gave me the copy needs it urgently, and he's flying out of the country. I want to see if I can ship it in. I'm trying to share the screen, but unfortunately, I can't get to it.
I didn't see a car.
Pardon?
Go on.
That's the title. The title of the book.
The title of the book is called "It's Hyper Choice." Let me just type it in the chat. It's called Hyper Choice. It's by a gentleman called Cheeseman Graham, I think. It's only available on Amazon, and apparently Amazon does not ship in Uganda. Let me just send a link, maybe.
Good. I can continue separate and if I can maybe get through Dubai. They'll get through Dubai and then bring it here. We'll connect separately.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, that will be great. Let me try that.
All right, guys. Next Saturday is big. Next Saturday we have a keynote speaker. We'll see you then.
Thank you all. Thank you, everybody. See you next Saturday.